I started this project with what I thought was a perfectly reasonable plan. I had this image of Medusa that I really loved and wanted to turn into a multi-tone laser image transfer. Simple, right? Except Medusa apparently had other plans. And the original image was too dark. I tried adjusting it, tried lightening it. I tried several different versions. Some were better than others. See? Not too bad. And then there were other not so good images that turned into quite the horror picture like this. Oh my goodness. No, absolutely not. Yeah, that's not Medusa. It's whatever crawls out of your television 7 days after you watch the cursed videotape. So eventually, I stopped fighting the image and changed plans. Instead of using a laser transfer for Medusa herself, I decided to try an inkjet transfer. And I printed the image on brochure paper using my HP inkjet printer and transferred it directly onto a clean Gelli Arts gel plate. Now, obligatory disclaimer here. Inkjet transfers are temperamental little creatures. Not every printer works, not every ink works, not every paper works, and not every gel plate works. Basically, the planets have to align and you have to make some type of sacrifice through a toner cartridge under a full moon. Mine works because I'm using pigment-based ink with a combination that I've tested before. And unlike a traditional laser image transfer, there's no layer of paint on the plate first. I'm transferring the printer ink itself. I also didn't want this to just be a portrait of Medusa. I wanted it to feel like something you would discover painted on the wall of an ancient ruin. Something that basically says, "You probably shouldn't be here, little boy." So I created a short warning and had Google translate it and convert it into Greek. Now I don't speak Greek, therefore I'm placing an enormous amount of trust into Google Translate here. For all I know, instead of, an ancient warning, this could say €2 and a Diet Coke, please. But visually, it's exactly what I wanted. And I printed that portion with a laser printer so I could combine a traditional laser transfer with that inkjet transfer of Medusa. My favorite part's coming up, and that's just peeling off the paper. I let the paper down to serve as a mask when I added the white paint. Now, it is about time for me to change my printer cartridge so it didn't come quite as dark as I hoped, but it still worked out really nicely. I want to add some mica powder to really help it pop. And so I'm going to put a bronze mica powder here on the snakes and a white mica powder on her robe. And I'm going to cover her skin with like a gold metallic paint that I like to use from Liquitex. This is the background that I created earlier using using a water method and copper and red. And I have to say it looks really cool, but it does have that kind of a crime scene look to it. This is one of those decisions where I didn't really know whether it's going to look sophisticated and ancient or it's going to look like Medusa's been attacked by a craft store Christmas display cult. Fortunately, I really like where it's going. I'm blocking uh, Medusa, like the snakes in her robe and everything, with titanium white acrylic paint, and that white layer is going to serve an important purpose. It prevents any dark background from overwhelming the image when I make the final pull, and it also will make the mica and the lighter details much more visible in the end, which is important because I spent far too much time on those snakes for them to disappear now. I like to check my progress here just by putting a piece of white paper underneath. Oh boy! You may at this point notice there's a recurring artistic element in this video. That's the back of my head. Apparently, I was so fascinated by what I was doing that I repeatedly leaned directly between the camera and the artwork. I actually had to throw out an entire section of footage because it was essentially a beautifully composed documentary about my scalp. So when the video suddenly jumps ahead, that's what happened, and you're welcome. For the Greek lettering, I painted black around the transferred letters. The white would really pop against that background, and I do flip it over a lot to be able to check my work as I go along. Now, once everything is blocked and painted, I'm going to cover this plate with this clear acrylic medium by Liquitex, And I'm using clear medium instead of another paint color because I don't want to interfere with the background I've already created. That medium is going to act as the binder that's going to pull everything from the plate. And I'm going to place my painted tea bag paper. It is wet strengthened. I'm going to press it directly over it and press everything down firmly. And then I put my heavy book on top. I'm going to leave that weighted for a good hour or two to get a good contact with the paper and the paint. And then I left the entire thing dry overnight, which means it's the hardest part of gel printing. That's not touching it for a while. And now it's the next day and ready for my favorite part, and that's the reveal. Look at it, it's looking really pretty. And this is a really clean pull here of the gel. I mean, this is the clear acetate of the gel plate from the paper. And almost everything came off of the plate, and this is where those metallic layers suddenly make sense. The gold across her face will catch the light, the mica gives the snakes and the robe the subtle shimmer, and against that dark copper red background, she almost seems to glow. That's exactly the feeling I was hoping for. What I like most about this piece, though, is that it didn't come from successfully executing my original plan, because that failed repeatedly and spectacularly. The finished piece happened because I finally stopped trying to force the image to become a laser transfer and started paying attention to what actually worked. An inkjet transfer in this instance. There was a laser transfer with acrylic paint for the wording, but it's not technique purity, just problem solving. And so I hope that you enjoyed this video, and be sure to check out the linked video that I'm here that will show you and compare LaserJet image transfer and inkjet image transfer. Have a great day.